slowly and deeply and clearing their mind. And they also practice and study kindness. So there was once a monk, and he lived high, high in a coconut tree. He ate the meat out of coconuts, and he drank the milk out of coconuts, and that's all he ate and drank. So people called him the coconut monk. Well, he had two special friends. He had a kitty cat, and he had a mouse. Every day, the kitty cat and the mouse would climb up the coconut tree with him, and they would watch the boats go down the river. They would listen to the birds, and they would sit, and they would breathe slowly and deeply together. Well, the coconut monk lived at a time when there was a war in his country. He lived in the country of Vietnam, and the war made him very sad. One day he was out on the field. He was collecting bits of metal and shrapnel and pieces of the war. And he brought those metal pieces back with him up to the top of his coconut tree, and he melted them down, and he shaped them into a bell. At nighttime, he would take his bell and he would say to the metal, "You have been playing at the game of war, but now you can help create peace." And he would ring his bell. Out into the night sky. One day, the monk decided to go see the president. He was going to ask the president to stop the war. Well, the monk really didn't have anything, so he just climbed down his tree, and he was ready to go. The kitty and the mouse went with him. The journey was long, the road was bumpy, and sometimes it was hot. They would have to rest in the shade of the trees. And sometimes it was cold, and they would cuddle and huddle together. At night, the monk would lean against a tree and he would sleep. And the kitty and the mouse, they would curl up together in a basket. And even though the journey was very long and hard, they always stopped and noticed the beauty all around them. They finally made it to the president's house, a big building with a barbed wire fence all around it, and guards walking back and forth with guns. The coconut monk went up to one of the guards and said, "I would like to speak with the president." And the guard laughed at him. What on earth could you possibly have to say to the president? He's an important man, and you are just some little monk. And the monk said very clearly, "I want to ask him to stop the war." The guard laughed in his face. "Ha! What?" The monk pulled out the basket with the kitty and the mouse wrapped up together, and he said, "Look, my friend and the kitty and the mouse can live together. Surely our differences aren't greater than theirs." Well, the guard laughed and said, "You are a fool!" And he threw him in prison. The cat and the mouse wouldn't leave him alone, so they had to throw the kitty and the mouse in prison too. Well, the prison was dark and it was cold, but the coconut monk still sat and breathed slowly and deeply and quietly, just as he had done in his coconut tree. And when the food would come, even though it was just a small amount of food, he would share it with the kitty and the mouse and the other prisoners. And even though the kitty was hungry, he didn't eat the mouse. The people of the coconut monk's village started wondering, where is our coconut monk? They went to the president's house, and they started writing letters, and they started marching and say, we want our coconut monk back. They were so noisy that the president and the guards had no choice but to let the monk out. Well, the coconut monk, the kitty, and the mouse, they walked back to their coconut tree, and they lived the rest of their days in the coconut tree. Now, don't you think that if a kitty and a mouse can get along, that we can too? And that's the story of the coconut monk. Hope you liked it. Well, my friends, I don't know where Hope went. I don't know who's next. But it has been a privilege and